Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome if you're new. Thank you for taking time out of your day to check the video out. We have more PlayStation news, rumors, and leaks to go over and cover today. We're starting here with more information about Ghost of Yotei being reported by Gaming Bolt. They say here, Sucker Punch Productions took many by surprise when it dropped a new trailer for Ghost of Yotei and announced a release date. As Atsu, players embark on a revenge tour to slay the Yotei 6, who slaughtered her family and left her for dead. Interestingly, the overall structure differs from its predecessor, Ghost of Tsushima. Atsu will pursue leads in Izo and choose which member to slay first, with the region promising more complex locales. Speaking to Variety, creative directors Jason Connell and Nate Fox discussed how the Edo period influenced world design. "This is the most open game we've ever made," said Fox. "One of the greatest joys is just getting lost. You let your curiosity guide you through the landscape. We view that as this holy moment that we want to uplift players so they can feel very present inside Hokkaido, or Izo, as it was called back when our game takes place. Izo is a character in and of itself, filled with hidden secrets and an anthology of stories." Sucker Punch also took a little bit of time to talk about the new weapons that you'll be using in Ghost of Yotei. They say here roaming Izo, known as Hokkaido in Japan, and hunting her family's killers is quite the task for Ghost of Yotei's protagonist Atsu. While she has some familiar tools like the grappling hook and katana, the latest trailer for the open world game to Ghost of Tsushima showcased more new weapons. There's a Kusarigama, though we didn't see its chain in action, and the spear, known as the Yari, for long-range stabbing. This is in addition to dual-wielding katanas, the Odachi, and firearms. And while co-creative director Nate Fox says they have the benefit of gunpowder being part of the combat mix, the katana is still the focus. While the katana is still the most valuable weapon, having some more opportunities to blow things up is never a bad addition for a video game, he told Variety. Co-creative director Jason Connell added, "We've teased the Kusarigama, and obviously she's got two swords, so there's a cool dual-wielding element there. In this trailer, there's a frame towards the end where you get to see a spear, which is called a Yari. Being able to play with such a different variety of weapons is so new for the game's feel. Each one of them has their own benefits. Of course, they exist for more than just gameplay variety." Fox noted how mastering a weapon is part of the feeling of samurai cinema. Becoming a master of that blade is integral to it, but we wanted to give players an even bigger connection to the weapon and the land. So inside of Izo, you can find teachers who will teach you how to use that weapon in a very organic way that you might see inside these films. So you get to experience what it's like to grow as a martial artist along with Atsu. So Sucker Punch did do a relatively extensive interview with Variety on the same day that they announced the release date for Ghost of Yotei, and I think it went a little bit under the radar. But the big thing I'm going to be looking out for in this game, obviously I do expect it to be more open and have a greater refinement compared to Ghost of Tsushima, but it's really the new weapons. When you think about the katana in Ghost of Tsushima, not only did it feel amazing to use, but it really felt like the different stances, it made it feel like 4 different weapons, right? So I am curious if they're going to give that same type of treatment to every new weapon that they add here, where it's going to have that level of depth and complexity and nuance. I hope it does, but either way, some good info we're getting here from Sucker Punch. We're going to move on to the next topic, which is a report that claims Indiana Jones is actually selling faster on PS5 than it did on both Xbox and PC. This is being reported by Push Square. They say Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, which debuted on PS5 earlier this month, is off to an impressive start on Sony's system. According to an in-depth report by data analyst firm Alinea Analytics, the title has already sold over 100,000 copies on PlayStation and is outperforming its Steam counterpart, Launch Aligned. While the firm doesn't reveal its exact methodology, it does tout it as the, quote, most accurate on the market, end quote. We'll contact the company to try and get a little bit more insight into how it's compiling its numbers. For now, though, the source says that Machine Games' latest is selling faster on PS5 than it did on Xbox Series X and S and PC. It notes that this is particularly impressive when you consider it's launching late on Sony's platform after the initial marketing cycle has ended. The report also claims that the PS5 version is selling faster than its Xbox alternative, but this is where things get a little wishy-washy because the release inclusion on Game Pass muddies the water somewhat. It states that a little under 5 million Xbox players have tried out the Indiana Jones game, but that the vast majority of these were obtained via the subscription, and then adds that Game Pass ultimately cannibalizes premium game sales and editorializes that this bet isn't paying off for the firm. It's an interesting report that also digs into the potential crossover between those who purchased Indiana Jones on PS5 and have played other action-adventure games like Uncharted and Tomb Raider. So I thought that this was worth mentioning here because I did see it making the rounds, but I don't think ultimately it's that surprising, right? It's not surprising to hear that when a game like Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, a $70, full price AAA single player game, drops day one into Game Pass on Xbox, that's where most Xbox players are going to play it rather than choosing to buy it, probably to see if they're even going to be interested in it in the first place. But I do think that a report like this and data like this makes it crystal clear why Microsoft is choosing to release their games on PS5. I even saw that there was apparently a new Doom video that was released on the PlayStation YouTube channel, and it seemed like that video was specifically made to talk to PlayStation users, and it was clearly, I would say, Microsoft and Bethesda's way of trying to, hone in on the fact that they want people on PS5 to absolutely buy Doom: The Dark Ages. And it's just really interesting, right? Microsoft, I think, is hoping that PlayStation 5 and the PlayStation platform in general can be, a place where their games actually succeed sales-wise. Not to say that they can't succeed on PC, they certainly can, but I think it's safe to say at this point that the reality is they're not going to get good game sales on the Xbox platform. That's just not a possibility anymore. Not only is it because Game Pass exists very prominently on the Xbox platform, but Microsoft went out of their way to condition their own player base to not buy games, right? To tell them, hey, you don't have to pay full price for this game. Just wait for it to drop into Game Pass and stay subscribed to Game Pass for about $280 a year. I don't necessarily see any problems with this, but yeah, it just, I think, reinforces the fact that Microsoft is going to continue to release their games on PS5 simply for the fact because people on PS5 are buying video games. It's really just that simple. We're going to move on to the next topic, though, which talks about Clair Obscur Expedition 33. This game, I think, is kind of shocking the gaming world, and I'm not surprised. In the process of reviewing this game, kept thinking to myself, like, I don't think people are quite ready for this game and what it's actually doing. But they did reveal on their official Twitter account that the game has actually sold 1 million units. And it's important to highlight they're saying sold, not players, actual full price copies being sold. So just a couple of days ago, they were celebrating the fact that they hit 500,000 copies sold. A few days later, they come out and say they actually reached 1 million copies sold just 3 days after launch. So this is absolutely huge for this studio. They are an independent studio and it's their first game ever. But here's where it gets crazier. If you go on Metacritic, as we know, it's sitting on a 92 based on 62 critic reviews. I think the highest rated game of the year. But the user score is currently sitting at a 9.7 based on over 2,100 user reviews, which is absolutely insane. This might end up becoming the highest rated game user score wise of all time. But yeah, just wanted to take a moment to highlight the success of Expedition 33 because it's an incredible game. And, I think a title like this is going to catch the attention of many AAA publishers and developers because this game was clearly made on a smaller budget and it was made by 30 people. And seeing what it's doing, I mean, you just can't help but be impressed. But we're going to move on to the final two topics of the video. The first one talking about how Madden is finally moving away from the PlayStation 4. I don't know how much this matters to people, but yeah, we know that these annual sports titles end up supporting the last gen systems for usually many years after the new console launches. But when it comes to Madden 26, it's finally moving away from the PS4 and it's only going to be available on the current gen consoles. So I just figured I would let you guys know about that. But the other thing I want to mention here is that it's been confirmed that Mafia: The Old Country is going to be getting a new gameplay trailer on May 8th. And I just wanted to briefly throw this out here because I think that this is a game that is hopefully going to be really good. It's a single player, linear, AAA title, and I feel like we just don't get many of those anymore. And so I'm really curious to see what this gameplay is going to look like. And if the leak that we recently got is true, apparently this game is going to be out on August 8th. So we won't have to wait too long. But I just wanted to make you guys aware of that. That's going to do it for the video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you found it informative. If you did, be sure to leave it a like, subscribe if you're new, hit the bell notification icon, and feel free to share this video out on top of all that. But until next time, guys, take care.